One thing I miss about not being on the Twitter world and stuff is I don't get to see all of that, and I really don't know what's going on. But
Well, we'll inform you, Coach Hugh Freeze. Your inside linebacker, Demarcus Riddick, wants smoke with Alabama. He said that Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams is not a big-time playmaker, he doesn't view him as one, and that he's never going to lose to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, while Ryan Williams might not clap back, and maybe he'll clap back during the actual Iron Bowl, Ryan Williams' father hit the hashtag kill everybody. Now, before you get super sensitive, you probably never seen the 1993 movie The Program, right? Ryan Williams had it across his nose at one point. This is a tweet that was subtweeted from On3 by Ryan Williams' father. To add to this, later in the day, Perry Thompson, who's a wide receiver at Auburn, tweeted this out, a comparison of Peyton Thorne versus Jalen Milroe, the passing stats. Thorne, who was benched early in the year, has 2,400 yards. Jalen Milroe on the right has 2,300 yards. And if I'm Perry Thompson, I don't even know why I'm tweeting this out, because Ryan Williams straight up has been having a phenomenal season, whereas Perry Thompson has had 5 receptions this year for 126 yards. That's like a light game work for Ryan Williams. Now, is Ryan Williams a big-time player? Absolutely. The numbers speak for themselves. 42 receptions, 804 yards, 8 touchdowns against Georgia, right? A game where 12 million people were watching. He had 6 receptions for 177 yards, some of the best catches that we've seen in all of college football, right? His first game of the season, young man has 2 receptions for 139 yards. Remember that game? 2 touchdowns. So he's already on the Biletnikoff Awards watch, which goes to the best wide receiver in all of college football. So is he a big-time player? You better believe it. He's having one of the best seasons ever for an Alabama freshman that's a wide receiver. Now, Auburn has a lot of reason to be upset about all this, right? Before Ryan Williams committed to Alabama, he was going back and forth between the in-state schools, Auburn and Alabama, right? Here he is posted in an Auburn shirt, courtesy photo of Rivals.com. And I think if you're an Auburn Tiger fan, you probably dream of what could have been if Ryan Williams is with your roster right now. Because this young man is more than a generational talent. I think by the time he leaves Alabama football, he'll be regarded as one of the best wide receiver ever. And you think about the wide receivers that have rolled through here, that's how impactful he is, right? I would imagine he has some sort of big play or multiple big plays against the Iron Bowl. Big-time players rise up in big-time games. So you're just generally upset that you lost a player like this in terms of in-state recruiting. Auburn is also upset because of last year. Let's face it. The Iron Bowl in 2023, that was a game that Hugh Freeze thought he had Nick Saban on the ropes once again. Everybody remembers this play. This is probably one of the most heartbreaking plays if you're an Auburn Tiger fan, probably in history, right? And there's plays that Auburn can point to in this Iron Bowl. But the 4th and 31, like, my goodness, every single thing that went into that game, when Jalen Milroe hit Isaiah Bond for 4th and 31, absolutely wild. They're still mad about that, I promise you. As we look to this matchup, since 2014, Auburn struck a couple times, right? You see in 2019, in 2017, that's when Auburn won. And you know what? Gus Malzahn, he beat Nick Saban from time to time. Last season, it was 27-24. 2022 was 49-27. 2021, it was 24-22. I think everybody knows what's at stake in the Iron Bowl. Alabama knows that its back is against the wall. They lose and they're 1,000,000% done. I think there's a glimmer of hope if they beat Auburn and somehow stop the run that they can make the college football playoffs. Here's what Coach Kalen DeBoer had to say about the upcoming Iron Bowl, as well as Hugh Freeze. Those interviews start right now.
You mentioned hearing about the Iron Bowl. What have you heard about just the game and how important it is for just the legacy of Alabama coaches?
Yeah, sure. It's going to be an awesome environment. We know that. Love playing the game at home, right? We get a chance to be undefeated. That's a sidebar. No, but be undefeated at home, it's a big deal. It's always been a big deal to me, and that's where we're at as a team. Just this game, what it means to those that come from each side, and what it means to the state. It's talked about, and not just told to me, but talked about amongst everyone in their homes. And it's Thanksgiving weekend, so if you're not at the game, you're watching it with your friends and family. So I've heard stories of families being divided because of it, and in many different ways. So that's what rivalry games are all about, and I know this is a rivalry that's on another level.
First, I have great respect for Kalen DeBoer, and we go way back to NAIA days, and he's had success everywhere he's been. And then Kane Womack, obviously my ties with his family. His father was my DC for years, and I gave Kane his first job at Ole Miss, and to watch him, he's got a wonderful family, and so I've got great respect for those guys also, and they've got one of my former guys as the defensive analyst there, and he knows all our stuff, and so we got to combat that again this week. But so I have great respect for Kalen and Kane and that staff there. Obviously, Nick was he's a friend of mine, but also I love competing against him because he's arguably the best that's done it. And I know a lot of people say, well, he always had good rosters. Well, that's part of being a good coach, is you go get good rosters, and he was always very good at that. And it's different for sure. The scheme is a little different. It's not the same as what you would see under a Nick defense. I mean, there's some similarities. There's always going to be some, but it's not the same, to answer your question.
Now, the biggest piece of news that came out on Monday, besides the players kind of jarring back and forth, they're really Auburn poking at Alabama, is the fact that Deontay Lawson, Alabama's starting inside linebacker, along with Jahad Campbell, that Deontay Lawson has suffered a significant knee injury. I think that's what Pete Thamel said, or it was a leg injury, but it looked like a knee on TV. Again, that's not official. But what is official is that he is out for the remainder of the season. I get it. We're out towards the back end of the season, but he's not going to be playing against Auburn or any other future games that Alabama has this season. It's a tremendous loss for Alabama's defense, considering that this team allowed 250 yards against Oklahoma on the ground. Now, you look to the three losses that Alabama has had this year. Vanderbilt ran the football, Tennessee ran the football, and Oklahoma ran the football. If those teams were able to run the ball against Alabama this year and have success and ultimately win those games, you have to be concerned for the upcoming Iron Bowl. Last year, Hugh Freeze and his offense posted 244 rushing yards against the Alabama Crimson Tide. A lot on the line for the Iron Bowl. My question for you is, do you think Alabama will be able to stop the run? And do you think that Alabama will be able to, most importantly, shut up Auburn on Saturday?